Hey True North fam, I'm Carissa.
I'm Ryan.
And this is Arthur. We just wanted to show him to you because we wanted to give you a little extra smile.
Who doesn't love looking at a puppy, right?
Yeah. But anyways.
We just wanted to bring you guys a scripture during this Holy Week as a part of our True North family devotional that we're all kind of playing a part and a role in. And so we're just going to dive right in. Our scripture is John chapter 13, verses 21 through 32. After he had said this, Jesus was troubled in spirit and testified, "Very truly I tell you, one of you is going to betray me." His disciples stared at one another, at a loss to know which of them he meant. One of them, the disciple whom Jesus loved, was reclining next to him. Simon Peter motioned to his disciple and said, "Ask him which one he means." Leaning back against Jesus, he asked him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It is the one to whom I will give this piece of bread when I have dipped it in the dish." Then, dipping the piece of bread, he gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot. As soon as Judas took the bread, Satan entered into him. So Jesus told him, "What you are about to do, do quickly." But no one at the meal understood why Jesus said this to him. Since Judas had charge of the money, some thought Jesus was telling him to buy what was needed for the festival, or to give something to the poor. As soon as Judas had taken the bread, he went out, and it was night. When he was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. If God is glorified in him, God will glorify the Son in himself, and will glorify him at once." A lot there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That we will condense into kind of like a couple minutes here.
Yeah.
Our key takeaways.
So one thing that we were talking about whenever we read this through, and something that personally has jumped out to me whenever I've read it before in the past, is that Judas, like, in this moment, in this time, and, given the scriptures that we've already heard during this week and we're going to keep hearing, is this is a really prominent part in the story leading up to, and those moments leading up to Jesus going to the cross and then eventually being resurrected. Yay. And the thing that kind of pops out to me and just makes my brain kind of like think through what is the fact that Judas playing the role that he did in betrayal, and that was such a really heavy thing, being like he had walked alongside Jesus for so long. He knew Jesus intimately, and yet he was the one who turned him in ultimately to get him arrested. And so it's like really crazy, because in my humanness, I want to get angry and I want to be like, "What are you doing?" And yet, like, or
I never want to be like Judas.
Yeah, or I would never do that or something. Yeah, right. And so the crazy thing is, yet he was used to glorify God. At the end of the day, he was used to glorify God, and God was able to obviously give us our salvation through this act. And so I don't know, that in itself just encourages me that even when I'm surrounded by people or things or circumstances that aren't something I agree with, or something that might be hindering myself from my own plans or whatever it is, I just can really be comforted in knowing that no matter what that is, God's still going to do his will, and I don't have the power to mess up his will for our lives and for the end goal in glorifying his name.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that point, I think it's a beautiful picture here about who Jesus is, because of his humility to stay composed and to still, even before, as you guys heard, wash Judas's feet, even knowing that he was going to betray him. And so the power that God puts on display here, that even in bad situations, through bad people, through bad circumstances, God is going to use it to glorify himself. And when we are in Jesus and as believers, we can know that we share in that glory because God sees Jesus. He doesn't necessarily see us. He sees what Jesus has done on the cross and in his resurrection. And so specifically in this time with this quarantine stuff going on, and you're hearing about a lot of death and disease and uncertainty and really a lot of confusion and darkness, the thing that we're called to do is trust God through every single circumstance that life gives us. And it doesn't always look good. It's not always nice, and it's not always easy, just like this scripture talks about Judas betraying someone that he walked with almost every single day. He was a disciple. And this is a hard situation, and it's messy, and it's ugly. But God, like it says in verse 31, now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in him. The Son of Man was glorified through it. It was a betrayal, it was messy, it was dark, but the God of the universe that loves us and sees us and gives us hope and a future, pours his grace over us, his mercy, his love, used it for his glory. And so let that be your confidence today, that there is hope in hopeless situations. And we just hope that you guys have a wonderful Easter, and with your families, with your friends.
We miss everyone. Miss you all.
Yes, we do.